Okay, adventurers, as you can see, we are starting this video underneath of my 2008 Ford Explorer, and the fuel pump went out, so I've got to drop this here gas tank, which begins with, I mean, if you couldn't figure it out, putting it up on jack stands and making sure you're safe. But the second obvious thing you're going to have to do, and what I've already started, is you're going to have to drop your drive shaft, which requires a 12 millimeter 12-point socket, and you can get to 3 of them. You can get to this one, and this one. Then you're going to have to spin the drive shaft, relock it into gear, and take the last one out. And I suggest you take the far one out all the way before you spin it and do that, or you're going to have a hard time getting to that thing to just try and get it out. But I'm on the last bolt right here, and it should drop this drive shaft down, which is necessary to drop this strap. And I know what you're thinking. Well, you can get to that with a swivel. Well, yes, I can. Easily, in fact. It's not even that bad of an angle. But once you get that bolt out and this strap needs to come out farther, it's going to hit that drive shaft and you're not going to go anywhere. Trust me, I've already done this once before on this vehicle. So there's that strap. Then you got to do this strap, and it's super easy to get to. And then there's the hose for the fuel filler neck, which it has a little internal baffle in there. So when you take that out, there might only be a tiny bit of fuel because there's an internal baffle. But I still stick a paper towel or a rag in there anyway, just to keep debris from getting right in that little spot. But once you get those down, then you're going to have to contend with the wires and such on top of the tank, and all the fuel lines and all that. But you're probably going to be doing that as you drop the tank. So I'll get to that here in a minute. I just wanted to show you guys where I'm getting started at and what I'm going to be getting along and doing. I'll be back. And we're back. As you can see, I was successful in dropping the tank, and I did end up dropping the entire drive shaft. You see it over there. Special effect zoom. Okay, so to get the tank out, there's a few things you got to disconnect. You're going to start with that. That's going to be your filler neck, and then there's going to be another little guy right above your filler neck, and then there's going to be a hose coming to your vapor canister. That just pops off. That one's got a clip. And then there's going to be this wiring harness that it's got one of these little tabs on it, just pulls out. And then you're going to have another hose at the front of your tank with another little clip on it that you're going to have to undo the clip and pull out. And then of course you're going to have to undo your fuel filter, which I did it the lazy way, and I just undid the one side, and now I'm going to do this clip the easy way with it right here and not fighting it under there. So now we run into the conundrum of the fuel pump I got from the parts store was, we'll just say, gently used, and now I've got to wait for a ride to the parts store. But in the meantime, I'm going to get this pump out, which to get this pump out, all you got to do, disconnect, that flops over. Then you're going to take a big old screwdriver and a hammer of some type. You're going to loosen that ring. That's going to pop off, and then your pump's just going to pull right out of there. And that should be it for that. But yeah, so once I get the pump, I'll come back and I'll show you a little more. Okay, everybody, I am back underneath the Explorer, and as you can see, the gas tank is back in, and the drive shaft is also back in. I've still got to rotate it around a little bit and make sure all my bolts are torqued on both ends. God, I'm tired. My fingers hurt. But anywho, I thought I'd give you all a couple tips for the reinstall while I'm under here. Let me think. Oh, one of the biggest things is when you're down at this end by the filler neck, there's going to be a hose that the hose itself actually connects back up like right here, but it comes in on that side, snakes over the tank and connects on top right up in here, but you need to fit that hose underneath the plastic guard, because if you don't do that, when you put the tank back in and tighten the straps, it's going to pinch that hose shut. So, and if you do that, it's going to make refilling your gas very, very hard. Like, it's going to take forever to refill your gas because it's constantly gonna like it just like won't vent itself right. It's just such a pain. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with mine, because the last time I changed this pump out, I think I did that, because when I pulled the tank out, that you could tell where the hose was all pinched and had been rubbing like that for a long time. So I think I may have solved that problem. Oh, and then this is going to help you when you take it out too, but on the far end of the tank, on the top side, attached to the body, there's going to be some foam, like fiberglass looking sound deadening material. And that's the only thing that's going to stop you from pulling the tank out. So don't be scared. You know, make sure, look and see that's what you're catching on, but as soon as you see that, you can just pull the stuff on the end of the tank past that foam and it won't hurt it. And then once you actually have the tank out, I just rip out a big square of that foam right where my sensor and everything has to fit back in. And then when I'm lifting the tank back in, if that sound insulation isn't there, the tank just fits right back in perfectly instead of having to wedge it and fight with it and all that nonsense. So tear that little piece of insulation out and it will save you a huge headache. Alright, back to what I was doing. Okay, everybody, tank's in. I went and got some gas, threw some extra gas in it because it was really super low, and I didn't want to start the pump on a super low tank. I've still got it up on the jack stands, as you can see, because I wanted to wait until I had everything done and started before I actually took it off the jack stands. So just in case, you know, it starts spewing gas at me from something I didn't connect right, you know, I wouldn't have to put it back up on the stands. So without further ado, here we go. Oh, listen to that. Oh, she purrs. She purrs. Oops. And if we look under El Carro or La Troca, whatever you want to call it, no leaks. No leaks. And it is a high pressure fuel injection system, so if there were any leaks, they would be readily apparent. So there you have it. fuel pump, fuel filter again. And I also rotated a couple of tires and did a couple other busy work type things, but there we are. That's all for today.